Today we're going to be talking about user research. We're going to be talking about information architecture. We're going to be talking visual design, and we are also going to be talking about um, design principles. Yeah, so we're going to start with user research. Why user research? Conducting user research helps you understand your target audience, their needs, and their preference. Skills you need to conduct interview surveys and usability testing are valuable for gathering insights. So why user research? You want to do user research to be able to gather insight and know your users, right? User research is a critical component of UI/UX design, as it helps designers gain insight into users' needs, their behavior, and their preference. This would help you know what they need, how they behave, and what they like, what they don't like. So this is going to help inform your design decision, and you're going to be able to design things that they have clearly stated that they want, or during interview things that they've said, I really don't like to do this and everything. So all of these insights, you'll be able to gather it, and it's going to help inform your design decision at the end of the day, and help you design a user-centered design. So we have the key aspects of user UI/UX design. We have user research, we have methods and techniques for you to use and conduct this research. We have interviews, we have surveys and questionnaires. We have the data analysis, how you analyze the data. We have the iterative approach, which is iterating on all of your research, and empathy and user-centered design. That's the purpose of the UX design. So let's go to user personas, right? What is user persona? User Develop user persona which are functional, represent sorry develop user personas which are fictional, represent your target users. These personas are based on research and data representing the characteristics, goals, and behavior of your typical users. Persona helps you empathize with your users and design for their specific needs, right? So user persona basically is like the kind of people that you're designing for, right? So let's take, for example, now let's say we want to design an online tech school website, right? If we are designing an online tech school website, we would know that, okay, the majority of people that are going to use this website are going to be youth, people that are just finishing school, probably from the age of say 15 to 30, or probably people in their early 40s. That's max, right? So basically, we're designing for youth, right? So we've been able to establish that, okay, this website is for youth. We've been able to establish their age group, right? We would also know that, okay, these people are like, most of them would use like smartphones and the likes, right? So that's like user persona, being able to define the kind of users that are going to use this website, right? If you're able to define your user persona, you would be able to know the kind of people you're going to conduct interviews with, give questionnaires to answer, and all of that. So we have methods of and techniques of doing user research. Select appropriate research methods and techniques based on your goals and resources. Common methods include interviews, just like, as I rightly said, survey, observation. Choose methods that provide the most relevant and reliable data for your research objectives, right? So depending on the kind of problem you're trying to solve, you should choose any of the methods that fit this, right? So let's take, for example, again, we are designing for an online tech school, a website where people can come and learn skills on like tech and all of that, right? So we can throw out surveys, we can give out forms, and if you want to okay, so let's talk about surveys and questionnaires now. Use surveys and questionnaires to gather quantitative and qualitative data from a large group of users. Survey can provide statistics data and help validate assumptions or gather feedback on user features and preference. Like, you know, in the beginning, when we were trying to define our user persona, the kind of people that are going to use this app, we were like, they are going to be youth and age of like, say, 18 to like max 40, right? So if we throw out questionnaires and we ask people to fill it, okay, people that will be interested in taking tech online classes, and we see that, oh, most of the people that are filling this form and they're filling their age, they are like from 40 to 50. That means our assumptions have not been validated, right? That means, okay, now we know that, okay, these are the range of people we are designing for. So surveys and questionnaires, doing interviews, right, would help you validate your data and give you insights into most of these things. So if you want to create like a form, I'm going to show you an example of if let's say you want to solve a particular problem now, and you want to create a form for a survey. So you can I hope you can still see my screen. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, ma'am.
Okay, let me be sure I'm not talking to myself. Okay, so you just come here to your Google app here, just scroll down a bit. You're going to see the forms here. Click on the form. So now you can just click on users feedback here to start creating a form for people to fill, so that you'll be able to, this way you'll be able to understand your users more. You'll be able to know things they want, things they don't want. So if, by the time you're done sending out these questionnaires and you get the answers right, it will be able to it would validate whatever assumptions you have. It would help you know, okay, I think we should add this feature, I think we shouldn't add it. These are like the group of people that are going to use this app now, and all of that. Okay, so you can easily generate questions from here. So see here, um, you can just type your questions. Let's say, would you like to attend an online school? Class, right? Um, Multiple choice. So want to put the questions to be yes or no, or the answer, sorry, to be yes or no, right? And then we are done with this question. So you can practically use this Google form to generate forms to send to people. So we have one here. I've created one already here. I named it online school. So we're collecting the names of participants, their email for feedback, and like write to them again, probably when the app is launched, and likes their age. So we know their age. Do you have a phone to know, even to know if they will be able to access the class? I think another question that I could have thrown in is, would you like to use your laptop or like your phone to attend the class? So we'd know, okay, the range of people that are using phones to attend the online class. We know the range of people that are using like their laptop to attend the online class, just to inform our design decisions, right? Um, how many hours do you spend on your phone per day? We want to gather the number of hours they spend on their phone per day to know, like, okay, what's the duration we should put this classes, depending on like how many hours they spend on their phone per day. Would you like to attend an online mentorship class? Are you willing to pay for an online mentorship class? This question is here because, you know, every um, every idea that they're trying to turn into a business is to monetize, right? So you want to know if people are actually willing to pay for this. So you don't invest so much in like design development, launching your product, and then you discover that people are not even willing to pay for it, right? So you want to know, right? You want to know if they're a student, which course they are willing to learn, and what excites them about learning a tech course. This would help you in your design decisions as well. When you know, okay, these are things that excite them, this is why they want to learn, you might want to put some of these elements in your design so that it keeps them on like the page and they keep coming back and all, right? Also, another question is here, have you done an online tech course before? If yes, what do you like about it? Right? You want to know things that they like about this. There's something we call is this similarity now in design, because definitely there are like other um online schools, right? So you want to know things they like about these online schools, things they don't like about it, so that you can improve on it in your own design and add elements to make them stay and keep them on the platform, right? Basically, so this is like the major purpose of UX design. Okay, I don't want to spend so much time on user research. I would have said let's do like a practical class. I just send you the link to this form. Everybody fills it in a minute, then we generate response, and like we are able to like practicalize designing on the response, but our time is like past spent. So practically, this is how you make design decisions based on like the questions you ask and gathering insights and all of that. I hope you get that, right? Okay, so that's it about surveys and questionnaires. We're starting from the beginning. Okay. So that's it about surveys and questionnaires. We have interviews too. So interviews is basically conducted to get more insight about your users, right? Now you know your user persona, you know the kind of people you're designing for. You've gathered insights to validate your assumptions and everything. So you know the kind of people that are going to use this website or an app or whatever it is you're designing. So you might want to pick somebody in this like age group, or somebody that fits the kind of users that you're designing for, right? Sorry, excuse me. You want to pick somebody that falls into that category and interview that person. So interviews gives you more insight into like your user, right? Survey can only help you gather data and you know validate your assumptions, but interviews gives you more insight into your users, so you're able to ask them questions even when they're like saying yes and they're like yes, okay, so you're like, okay, maybe the answer is maybe. You're able to like really observe everything user is doing, so this will give you more insight into like your user. That's the major purpose of interview. You're able to go deep, ask more questions, right? Observe your users very well. That's the major purpose of like interview. So you can choose either of these two, or you can basically do the two, right, before you go ahead and start designing and doing all of that. So data analysis, right? Once you're done with your research, and both the interview and the survey, right? You gather all the data, you analyze it, analyze and synthesize the data collected from your research method, right? Look for patterns, themes, and trends that emerge from data. Use this analysis to generate insight and identify opportunities for improving the user experience, right? When you gather all of this data, you are able to know, okay, this is what the user wants, this is what they don't want. I think this is what we should add, this is what we should not add, and all of that. As you want to get all the data analysis from your research, right? Iterative approach. User research should be an ongoing process throughout the design life cycle, right? User research does not stop. You want to, at whatever stage you get to in your design, you still want to, let's say from the insight that you've gathered now, you have now come to a particular solution and you feel like, okay, this should be able to solve the user's problem, right? You want to go back again and ask users, okay, are you able to like work with this website? Is this solving the problem and everything, right? So at every point in your design process, you want to keep going back to users and making sure that everything works perfectly, right? User research should be an ongoing process throughout the design lifecycle. Incorporate the insight gained from research into your design iterations. Continuous testing and validate design decisions with real users to refine and improve the user experience, right? Then empathy and user-centered design. Use survey and questionnaires to gather iterative and quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative is like using like survey, and qualitative like quantity, right? Sorry, what am I saying? Okay, so one is like basically doing a lot of research, throwing out survey and everything, and one is like getting more insight into it, right, from a large group of users. Survey can provide statistic data and help validate assumption or gather feedback on specific features or preference. So you want to make sure that your design is user-centered, right? Is based on what users need, what solves their problem, and all of that, basically. So I feel like that's all about user research. Let me share my screen on a particular case study like that. Sorry. And show you how you can like basically gather data from your research, and like once you're done with user interview. Okay, so this is basically a case study of an app, right? You write the introduction to the app, the problem statement, the solution that you've come to at like the beginning, then potential target audience, who are the people you're designing for, what are you offering, when can they use it, and how are they going to assess the solution, right? The design thinking process, the empathy. So basically where I'm going is here, quantitative research, right? Using survey. See the questions that you have asked, the answers that was derived from it here, from all of these, right? From all of these insight that you've gathered, user statements gotten from like interviews, right? The insights from both the survey and the interview, you're writing what you have gathered from these two. You so from all of this now you're able to like draw affinity map from it, gather the pain points, what they feel, what the users feel pain, what they don't like about the app, what frustrates them, right? That's like their pain points. Their goals is like what they want to do on like the app and the likes, what motivates them like every day to help to help inform your design decisions. Basically, you know what they want, right? So going back to like user persona, now you're able to draw your user persona from here. The kind of people that are going to use the app, basically. It's not necessarily you like interview one person, you can interview like 5 people to be able to gather enough insights, right? You draw out your empathy map, how they feel, what they do, what they think, what they say, basically. Then you can do a secondary research. There's something we call secondary research as well. Secondary research is basically going online, right, to check out things. Let's say the online school that we're trying to design for now, you can go online and just search what why don't people like attending online classes. You see results from there, right? You don't necessarily so if you can't conduct a user interview and you can't do a survey, you can do secondary research as well. Search online for your questions. It's not, most times it's not like 100%, right, to be able to gather insight, but it's something that can work as well. But I would mostly advise that at least if you can't do an interview, you can do a survey, right? So you can do secondary research as well. Right. Okay. So that's it about the about user research. So architecture, information architecture is the practice or information architecture is the practice of organizing and structuring information in a way that makes it easy to understand, navigate, and find within a user interface. It is it is a critical aspect of UI UX design as it lays the foundation for intuitive and user-friendly experience. Right? So now we have gotten to information architecture. So your after you're done with your user research and all of that, you've gathered information and you know what your users want, you know their pain points, you know exactly what you're going to do on the design that you're about to start doing. You know the problem you're solving for, you know who you're solving the problem for, you know the features you're adding to the website or the app to make it intuitive, to make it user friendly for your users. Now it's time to draw out the information architecture. So first thing we have content inventory, right? Start by conducting a content inventory to identify and catalog all the information that need to be included in the interface. This includes text, images, videos, documents, and any other relative content that you might need. So you want to be able to gather all of these things that you would need in your website, right? Or your application. You want to gather every single thing that you're going to need. Once you're done doing all of this, you want to create a hierarchy structure to organize the information, group related content together, and establish parent-child relationship. This structure should reflect the logical and relationship between different pieces of information. So I'm going to open this now, and I'm going to show you how to like draw like a sitemap for whatever app you're designing. This is like the um, proper step in UX design. So you go from research straight to your to information architecture, right? So we have let's say we are designing for the online school now. We go from home, we go to about session. Let's say there is like it's a business and they are going to ask people to pay for it. We go to pricing, we go to services, then from pricing they go to their payment screen. From service here they go straight to each service page, right? From there, so we have about, let's say, four major screens here, right? The home, the about, the pricing, and services. You might want to have like contact us page as well. Just lay out as many pages as you want to have in your website as possible, and like draw out how users are going to go from one screen to another on the app. So cataloging information together on each page, right? Say for the home screen now, we want to have the nav bar, we have the hero session. So I'm going to show you basically what a nav bar is. A nav bar is basically what you see at like the top here, the navigation bar basically. Let me play it in the screen so that you can see it very well. So before this finish loading, this is like the nav bar. So you want the, you're definitely going to have your nav bar on your home screen. You're going to have the hero session, right? Your hero session is basically what you see first. What am I playing? What is playing? The hero session is what a user sees on the top of their screen before they start scrolling down. So you have your navbar at the top, you have your hero session, the first thing your users are seeing on like the top here. This is like the hero session right here. Right here, this is like the hero session. So let's move forward. You want to have that, then you want to put in sections. We have achievements, we have feature session, course session, testimonial session, and call to action. Then footer is basically what you have at the bottom. Visual design. What is visual design? Aesthetics plays a significant role in UI UX design. Proficiency in creating visual appealing interfaces, selecting appropriate color palettes, and using consistent branding elements contribute to a polished and cohesive user experience, right? Visual design helps in making your users stay on like your website. It makes it interactive, it makes it look fun, it makes it look alive. Basically, visual design is a crucial aspect of UI UX design that focuses on the aesthetic appeal, visual hierarchy, and overall look and feel of the user interface. It involves creating visual appealing design that communicates the brand, engage users, and enhance the overall user experience on your design. So this is why visual design is very important, right? Let's move forward. So we have branding and style guide. Understand the brand guideline and establish a style guide that aligns with the brand's visual identity. Consistency in visual elements such as color, type, icons, and imagery helps in creating cohesive and recognizable interface. Excuse me. So basically, if you're working with a company, most times they have like their brand guides already. They have their typography, they have their colors and everything. So I'm going to share one that I have here. Okay, so we have like a company like this. We have Recharge Pro. So this is like their, you see the brand identity. They have like black and red, right? They have their logo already. So most times if you're working with like a company, they have a brand guide already. They have their colors, they have their typeface already. You can see this company, they use Poppins. That's the typeface that they are using. They have their colors. We have red and we have black here, right? So if you're working with this kind of company now, you see they have clearly defined their colors to you. You can build a color palette from these colors that they have given you right here. In rare cases they don't, but in most cases most companies are. See what we have here. See, we are picking like orange here, we're picking black here, we're picking secondary colors that also fit the brand here, green and like light yellow, something like that here. And let me share an example here as well. Yeah, so for, let's say this online school that we were working on now, we have like these colors here, right? So if you want to create like a style guide, we can have something like this here, the primary color here, we have the shades of gray, then we have the supporting colors, which red is like for like not successful, and arrow color, and green is for like success, basically. So as I've rightly said before, colors have meaning, right? So see here we have blue signifies trust, smart, calm, faith, neutral, stable, power. Red signifies love, it can signify danger as well, energy, sales, passion, anger, hunger, right? Black, bold, rich, power, mystery, elegance, evil, strength. And all these colors signifies a lot of things, right? This orange that I have chosen in this particular design, it signifies health, attraction, stands out, test, power, usefulness, and happiness. And since from like our user research, we were able to like deduce that most of the people that are going to use this website are going to be like youth, right? So I have used orange in the color because orange signifies usefulness. So this is a way for you to like choose colors. If you're like working on like a case study, personal case study, you're not working with a brand or something, you want to like build a portfolio, right? If you're building a portfolio, you want to understand colors so you know the kind of color you're using for whatever problem you're looking to solve, right? So let's move forward. A typeface, that is select appropriate fonts and typography styles that are legible, readable, and aligned with the overall design aesthetics. Ensure that the typography is consistent across the interface and support a hierarchy of information, right? So you might want to use like a very stylish kind of typeface for like your header font, for your header text, for your subtext, like since it's going to be small, you want to use typeface that are readable. Most times I like to use Inter, right? And yeah, you want to use readable fonts for your design. And please make sure that in your design you're not going above two types of fonts in a particular design, right? You might want to choose one for your header and the second one, the readable one, for your subtext, right? don't go over 3. Don't make your users feel lost on your website. You want to make sure that it's consistent even with your typeface. And visual hierarchy. Use visual hierarchy to guide users' attention and prioritize information. Right? Establish a clear, distinctive distinction between primary, secondary, and tertiary elements through size, color, contrast, and typography. Highlight important elements that draw users' focus. So I'm going to be sharing my screen again here. So I have an example here. So for visual hierarchy, using size, right? You want to make sure you want to use size to guide your users through like your website. You want to make sure they are reading the most important thing there first. Like see here, you're going to read this first, then you would read this, then you read the smallest one, right? So you can use size to guide your users through your design. See here as well, if you're on this page here, this is like obviously bigger than every other thing here, and it's going to like definitely draw your attention to it. So like you're going to read this first before you read the small one here, right? And all of those kind of things. So you can use size to guide your users through your design. You can use colors too, right? Muted colors can reside into the background, while bright or contrasting colors can draw attention. So you can use bright colors to draw your users' attention to a particular element on the page to like make them take actions and all of those kind of things. You can use contrast as well. So from this right here, you would see that the first thing that is definitely going to grab your attention is the one with the highest contrast, in which you're going to read this first before you read the ones that are like have lesser contrast, right? And you can use type fonts too. So you will notice that in this particular example here, all these sentences that are here are the same typeface, they are the same size, but different font size. So this is like the bold, this is semi-bold and light and medium and all of that. But definitely you're going to read the one with the highest font size first, right, on the design. Another one you can use to define hierarchy in your design is spacing, right? So you can strategically space a particular element that you want to grab the user's attention on your design, right? So you here in this example here, you notice that you would read this one that is at the bottom first before you read every other one. Why? Because it's like spaced from every other thing on the group, right? So you can use spacing, and you can use spacing to like improve readability as well, right? So that's it about visual hierarchy. And you can aside that, the way you place elements in your design too matters a lot. So look at this here. You don't want to lump text together, you don't want to lump elements together. You want to make sure that they are well spaced and they are well arranged. Look at this bad example here, poor visual hierarchy. So like nothing is drawing your attention on this particular design here. Everything is everywhere, colors are everywhere, and like your eyes are just going from one place to another. While here it's very defined, you're seeing the image, you're seeing the header text, you're seeing the subtext, and you're seeing the call to action button, right? So visual hierarchy is very important in your design. Layout and composition. Create a balanced and visually pleasing layout that organizes content and elements in a structured manner. Utilize grids, white spacing, and alignment to achieve visual harmony and improve readability. Right, so you want to use grid system in your design so as to make sure that everything is well organized. See examples that we have. See this kind of example here. Everything is well aligned to a particular place. You can see the listing here. You see here, like make sure that you're using a very structured layout in your design so as not to confuse users. Then we have imagery and iconography. Use relevant and high quality images. High quality images are very important in your design. Make sure you're using high quality images. You don't want your design to look somehow, right? You don't want it to not look very great. So you want to use high quality images and icons to ensure um the visual appeal of the interface. Ensure that the image and icons are consistent with the brand and support the intended message or functionality. So you want to make sure that both the image you're using and the icons you're using are like consistent across all of your screen. So I'm going to show an example here again. Okay. So look at these icons here. You see that all of these here are home icons, right? But they are like different. They don't have the same consistency, right? So if you're using an icon like this, you want to make sure that this is the kind of icon you're using throughout your design. You don't want to use a stroke icon here. You're using a fill icon, the next one, right? You want to make sure that it's consistent. And you can use icon packs. Most times I use feather icon. All these are like consistent across everything. They're using like the stroke kind of icon, right? Not the filled icon. So if you want to use the filled icon, you want to make sure that you're using it across all of your design. And if you're using something like this, you want to make sure that it is consistent across all of your designs as well. So if you're using images in your design, I okay, so I can use this example. See this. Okay, so for this color right here, they're using like red and black. So you want to make sure that your design, you see this design here has that like stripe of orange and black in it, right? You want to make sure that the image you're using is like fitting the design, right? It's fitting the design. Let me show this example that I have here again for this um for this particular product right here. You'd see that this product is like purple, right? Purple and like yellow. You would see that most of the images that are used here, we have like the purple background, the skin color to show the yellow that is there, and all of that, right? So that's another example of how you can consistently use image and icon throughout your design. Make sure you're very consistent in your use of icons and images in your design. um, Micro interactions and animation, incorporating subtle animation and micro interactions to provide visual feedback and delight users. Thoughtful use of motion can enhance the user experience, convey meaning, and create a more engaging interface. So we have this example right here. I'm going to show you. So you want to add like little micro interactions to excite your users when they are using your when they are using the website, right? You don't want everything to be static. See like little micro interactions everywhere, and like the plate here moves in a way, right? You are like excited using the website, and like everything is just falling in place basically, right? Once you move your mouse, this is moving and everything. So you want to add like subtle micro animation, not too much, right? So you don't distract your users, but you want to make sure that you're adding those little piece every to where you feel is important on your design. So we have accessibility as well. Design with accessibility in mind to ensure that the interface is usable by people with disabilities. Consider factors like color contrast, right? Font size, alternative text for images, and keyboard navigation. Create designs that are inclusive and accessible to diverse range of people. So when you're designing, you're considering different people that are going to use your design. You're not designing for yourself, you're designing for people. So you want to make sure that you're including them in your solution, right? You're making it very accessible to everyone that is going to interact with it. We have visual consistency, maintaining visual consistency across the interface to create familiarity and reduce cognitive overload for users, right? You don't want to lump text together. You don't want to put too much information together. You want to make sure that everything is well spaced and it is consistent across all screens. Look at the example that we have here. From this screen to this here to this here, you'd see the yellow and black being consistently used throughout the website, so that your users know that they are still on the same website, right? They are not confused, and they are mainly being guided from one screen to another, and they still know that, okay, I'm still on the same website. You're not using blue on one screen and you're using red on the other screen, right? You want to make sure that your designs are consistent. Ensure that visual elements, styles, and interactions are consistent throughout the design, right? So we have visual testing and iteration. Regularly test and the visual design with real users and gather feedback and iterate on the design. Conduct visual testing sessions to evaluate users' perceptions, aesthetics, and overall visual appeal. So make sure that as much as you feel like you've solved the problem, your design is good and everything, make sure that you're testing it. You test to make sure that it is accessible, it is usable, and it is solving whatever problem that you want to solve with the design.
All right. All right. So I think this is the last part of our class, and we'll see how we can rush this in less than 20 minutes or 20 minutes. So design principle. In summary, all that we've been saying so far from day one and the second day is all about to help our design, right? To help us on how we think and all that. So in design principle, it's just for us to understand the principles about the fundamentals of what we're going to do. It includes the layout, color theory, typography, visual hierarchy. These are things that we've already discussed, and we won't discuss it too deep, right? So design principle itself, what is it? It's, sorry, I'm not sharing the video. Okay. So design principle, UX design layout refers to the arrangement and organization of visual elements within a user interface to create a cohesive and intuitive user experience. So that's what we've been saying all this while about design principle, right? So what we're going to cover is the content hierarchy, grid system, white space, visual balance. I think someone is oh God, oh sorry. I don't know if we can all mute. Okay. All right, I'll continue. So visual balance, responsive design, consistent navigation, visual clues, readability, consistent visual language, and user testing and iteration. So those are things we'll touch. Now for content hierarchy, just like Goodness already said, I think she has touched a bit of this. It's just about, if I'm going to, so if we're looking at what the content hierarchy is. Now, if this is your Euro banner, for example, and we want to pass some information, we know that this website is strictly for ordering food, right? It's like a restaurant kind of just for food. And then we know that for you to make an order is very important for them because this is how they make their money online, right? And they also want to advise you on some kind of theme or some kind of capturing text that will bring you in, and then they just take you straight to either you see their menu or you book a table. So if you look at the way the content is arranged here, I think Goodness already said something. The most capturing stuff is being like in a larger font size, right? So if you're making your design, you should also think about it. The same thing with the About Us page. It's the same thing. So we have the word that we have the word that we want to be the caching word, right? And then the rest can be something maybe you don't really want to put more effort in. The next thing is grid system. Now, in every website and every application you see on your phone, it's actually organized in a grid format. No matter what you see on your phone, tablets, and all that. So everything is in grid system, but you don't see the grid. But the reason for the grid system is to help responsiveness. Now, if I'm going to be building If okay, good. The noise was just becoming too much. So I'll try to show an example of how we manipulate the responsiveness. We try to place everything in a grid because I think this can help your assignment. So I'm trying to go back to. All right, so I want to show a live demonstration of this, and that's what I'm trying to do. Going back to looking at our screen, we see that in the web view, we have the grid system of this particular slide is actually a 3-column and 2-row grid system. But what happens is that because if you're trying to code, you can be able to tell the developers on what to do, because when you design your work and you give it to the developers, they don't really know what you want to achieve, right? It is whatever that you've done so far that they'll be able to convert. So when you're doing your prototype, or when you're doing your stuff, right, the project itself, you can make sure that you're working with grid. I'm still struggling to make this. Okay, so this is just one. And then the second slide, the second image here is also a grid system. But the way we placed this counter is that we want it to be in a 4 grid, like in a 4 column kind of grid system. So even if you're designing flyers, like the ones coming from graphic designing background, would understand that even when we design things as simple as flyer, we also choose on how we want the grid to be. You just start with drawing your grid, and when you're done with whatever you're drawing, you can start putting content in it. So that's about grid system. When I manage to get into Figma, I'll be able to show you the work. I'm still struggling on this when it comes up actually. All right, so the next one is the white spacing. So white spacing is also very, very important when it comes to design, right? You don't really want to chunk things together. Whatever you're designing is very important for us to always recognize spacing, because one thing I discover in design is that when you're designing something and you tend to give a lot of space, your design becomes beautiful, right? You don't want to chunk things together. Like if you look at the introductory part of this particular website, you see that there's a lot of space around it, right? There's a lot of space. If you're working with, especially website like this, you want to give as much space as possible. So even if you're designing flyer, the truth is that I can screenshot this part of this website and also give it to the client as a flyer, design. Why? Because it's the same design principle that I've been able to keep in terms of spacing. So everything looks very good. So whatever you're coming up with, I know eventually most of us would not straight away start designing things for company, right? Because I know you need to build a portfolio for companies to be able to trust you to give their work in terms of building mobile applications. But one thing I know for sure is that by the time you start showcasing yourself as a UI UX designer, you might start getting little contracts like building website. And most of these websites might not even be by clients. Some of you are intending to start up your own businesses, or also to work for friends and families for their businesses. So if you start understanding this principle, you can be able to implement it. This website is very easy. There is nothing like coding in this website. It was built with a low-code technology, what we all know as CMS today. But because of the design principle that we were able to maintain, it looks like so much work was done. The truth is that this site was even built without even using Figma, without using UI. There was nothing like wireframe or whatever. Why? Because just jump into the platform and start building. But if you maintain that same mindset in doing your wireframing, in doing your prototype, when they give you platforms like this to build websites with something like WordPress, you will not find it difficult to onboard, because it's the same thing that you keep in mind when building with your with your normal tools, that's the same thing you do here, right? So that's one very important thing, is for us to recognize white space. We should be able to leave a lot of space. If you're going to be developing, this is where padding comes in place, and this is where margin comes in place. Looking at this design, I can be able to tell you the exact padding that was kept, right? So even if a developer, even if you want to design for a developer to build this, you should always remember to keep your spacing a lot very well, so that when your developer interprets your design, they can be able to do very well, right? They can be able to also respect your space. And the next one would be visual balancing. So this one, for those of us coming from graphic designing background, we know that visual balancing is something that is very important when designing. Sometimes if you look at the slide, it tells you, you can tell me something that is balanced. You can tell that the first one is balanced and the second one is not balanced, right? So the reason is, if you're working with your grid system very well, you will know when to do your balancing. You will know when to put a logo. You can put an image by the left side, right? And then there's another heavy image you want to put in your design, but you don't want to just put it on the left side again. If you start putting things on the left side, you even when you look at your design, you can feel that there is too much weight by one corner, right? So most of I learned visual balancing the hard way when I was doing more of printable jobs, right? So I started understanding what the balancing is. So when you start working with your design, because when you're doing your project for today, I would want you, if you're going to be working on pictures, icons, and all of those things, make sure that you're not overcrowded. This one has nothing, I don't need to really show you Figma to explain this. That's what I'm trying to just tell you verbally. If you're putting too much things on the left side, your other part will not be balanced. But if you think deeply, there are some kind of design that you can put informations, you can put images on the left side. But for you to balance it, you need to put the write-ups on this other side and make sure that the write-up is enough to hold the other one. I don't know, this one happens in the brain. Hopefully, when you start designing your stuff and we're reviewing it together, we'll be able to, I'll be able to explain more. Then if you look at the second design, there is the images at the top and the right up at the most of these things you see it in magazines design, and you see it in article pages, right? Or you see it in cards on website, like some website that will just tell you about their services. You're going to see in things like this. Just a quick one on just how the balancing is. Let me go to share the one page. So you see this particular page. There is too much, you see, this is not like this is just like a snapshot of what they are into, right? But there is this balancing. If I had put like one here, and I leave this one and I don't do anything here, it still will not even make too much sense. So whatever you're doing, you should be able to work with balancing. It is very, very important. Just when we start doing our personal project. Now, another thing is about responsive design. Now, as a UI UX, whatever you're designing, you need to make it responsive. So this is Graving Bank, as you all know them. Their design is very responsive. So if you're looking at it on the browser, or you're looking at it on your iPad, or you're looking at it on the iPhone, your phone, sorry, it will be responsive. Now, going back to Figma, if you're designing, just give me 2 seconds. Okay, so for instance, if we're going to work with this, for example, this is just a wire, like it's not a furniture, but this particular screen is for, so this particular screen is our own page for for web view, right? So if you're designing this, and I'm hoping that one of us will be the one to give us the final design for our new platform. And now, if you're going to be designing a home page for the browser, like for the web, you're going to make something like this for us to be able to view. So whatever you define here is what we'll view. But when people want to access it on maybe a tablet, you see that when you start your next design and you're doing it on a tablet, most of the things you've defined here will change. Now, the reason for you to make designs for both web, phone, and then for tablet is because when you hand over your design file to the development team, it is whatever you have defined here, that's what they're going to implement in the CSS. So you're giving us something like this as the what's the name, as the web view. You're giving us something like this as a tablet view, and you're eventually giving us something like this for the phone view, right? So now the difference is it's the same content, right? But whatever you're doing, because we're working with grid system, like this is the experience at MeQuest is a 4-grid system we're thinking of using. But if you want to give us on the iPad, we still feel that it won't be too heavy, so we still want to maintain the 4-grid. But when it's time for phone, we want it to be automatically changed to 2-grid, right? So this is how so these are the kind of way you think when you're trying to come up with designs for responsiveness. So if you're going to be building a website for yourself or a simple application, let me say a to-do app you want to build for yourself, don't worry about who will develop it. Come up with your design, right? Then you make sure you do all the different layouts for different kinds of gadgets, right? There is something of late that I think it was Instagram I discovered. Instagram was responsive for all kinds of gadgets, but when it wasn't responsive for the Fold, the Galaxy Fold, and that was because Fold was not really too new when the development team was designing it. So when you flip your phone into the Instagram, it doesn't respond to all the screen, rather it will remain at the middle of your screen. Now, because not many people use those type of device, they didn't really touch on it, but now those things is being resolved. It means whenever you're doing your design, you should always consider different types of tabs. That's why in Figma, when you want to start a frame, supposing you come to this hashtag here is where you choose a frame if you want to do something new. By this other side, if you're seeing my screen, you see that you can define the kind of gadget you want to work with. You can also design things for phone. You can design something for Apple Watch. You can design something for other kinds of smartwatches as well. You can also design something that can be used for paper. That's why I was saying that designing is not just about coming up with prototype and all that. You can also use Figma to do good presentations, right? Write your CV. You see a lot of CV now. If you depend on a Microsoft Word, you cannot be able to get what you want, but you can do a nice CV with Figma, export it, right? So this is just to tell you that Figma allows you to build things, to design things for phones, tablets, presentation, and so many things. So when doing your design, explore. If I want us to start doing design for each, we won't go here even in the next 4 hours. But when we start working on with our Figma, I'm advising that we all explore. Then we have consistent navigation. I don't really need to stress this one too much. If you're going to be working with navigation in your, of course, every website, application, and everything have navigation. Just maintain. That's why if you're working with Figma, all you need to do is to make it a component, right? For you to make it a component, you just press Ctrl K, right? And then when you're done, it becomes a component. It means you can use it. You can use the whole of this. Sorry, the whole of this is now a component. So all I need to do is to copy it and paste it in other frames, right? So whatever that I've whatever that I've tied this component to in terms of the navigation where it should go to, it will remain consistent in all the page. The same thing with your mobile applications. Wherever you put your button, maintain that particular position. If at the end of the day, those people that are going to develop it, all we do is that we end up making our footer and our header. Even if you're not coding and you want to use applications like CMSs like WordPress or some frameworks, they already have predefined header and footer. So we just change whatever we do there, right? And it will respond. So on all the pages, it will remain the same. So if people who are not even doing design already know the trick behind working with the same navigations for your headers and for your footer, you as a UX UI designer, you should also maintain the same thing. The size of your logo should be consistent in all your pages, right? So that's about your consistent navigation. Create a consistent and intuitive, sorry, I'm not even reading from it. Create a consistent and intuitive navigation system to help users move through the interface effortlessly, use recognizable record. I think this is just all that I've been saying. So because of time, now visual clues. Now, if you're going to be building web UI UX, one thing about UI UX, why it's more complex than just graphic design work is because you tell your developer on how everything works. So you're the one to design how the danger button would be. You're the one to tell them, okay, if something is working or something is not working. Before you see this Facebook telling us that there's an error, the email address you put is wrong, they actually relied on the persons who is the designing team. They are the one that decided to use the danger icon and the fonts in red. So these are some of the things you should do. This one is collected from one of the low-code stuff that we're having, and it's a business development tracker where for processes that are delayed, there's an icon telling us that this thing is delayed, right? And for this one that is waiting is in gray. So the ones that the company marketing team met, you see that it's on green, right? And it's this one alone, when you come to the app, you don't even need to talk. Whoever that is using the app knows that, okay, they've been doing good on the goals, on the BFSH and all of those different things, right? So these are the things you need to put in mind when doing your stuff. Readability and legibility is all about putting your fonts, your background, working with your colors and whatever you want to use, even icon, you want to make sure that it's very clear to see. I've put hello in a text box, right? We can see the first one is hello. The second one is also hello, but if I tell someone now to tell me what this thing is without telling you that it's hello, you might not even be able to know. Funny enough, some people might not even read this third one as hello, right? They cannot be able to read, even if they cannot be able to see if this is hello because it looks like 7, right? So whatever you're doing, make sure that your fonts or your icons or whatever in the background are aligning and they're making sense. Next thing is of course, you should be consistent in most of your design. If you look at our Mary shop, you can go to that site and you can try to understand the consistency in everything. So we didn't use too much of anything. If someone comes into the contact page, you can easily feel that, okay, this was the site I visited yesterday. Why? Because there is this font, color, and some animations at the micro interactions around the site that looks the same. User testing and iteration because of our time. Whatever you design, you can be able to test it straight away. Whatever you come up with as a design, you don't need to, you can be able to feel, right? Figma allows you to be able to put it in frames, right? So that you feel. However, for what we do most of the time is that we just, if you download Figma on your phone, as well as you have it on your desktop, you can be able to have a live feel of what you're actually designing, right? You can also have the same feel on your iPad, right? So it's not about, that's the beauty of using all these tools, whether you use Figma or you use SD, you can test your stuff on your mobile phone and you can even show people. Some of the stuff I do, I'd like to show people, oh, what do you think about this? I think it's even the best way for you to get a direct feedback from what you're building, right? Rather than showing them, no, I'm doing something in Figma and they're asking you, what is it you're sending them? Nobody wants to come to Figma, right? They want to see it in their phone. You can share the link with them. We'll show you how next. So that's the end of class because of time. But before I open the space for any questions, the summary, we should always remember that user research should be conducted ethically and with the privacy and consistent of participants, right? This insight gained from user research should guide the design process and inform decision-making to create effective and user-friendly interface. I think we shared our materials with you so that you can keep this for reference. Remember, the goal of information architecture is to create a logical and structured framework for the information within the interface. It should enable users to find and understand the content easily, reduce cognitive load, and enhance the overall user experience. Remember, a well-designed UI UX layout is not only visually appealing, but also functional, accessible, and user-centered. It should facilitate user tasks and goals while providing an enjoyable and intuitive experience. And finally, remember that the goal of information architecture, I think this is already what we have there. So that's it for today. Oh, now because of our time, we're already 6 minutes. Sorry. So our assignment for this class is we're going to design a 3-page simple website. Your design should have the following screens: landing page, about us, and contact page. The deadline is 18th. Now, thank you so much for everyone that submitted. At least more than 50% submitted the last assignment. This one is going to be easy. You go to your Figma, you create a frame. The frame is the one with the hash symbol. Sorry, just let me use 2 minutes so no one will say we didn't show them at least something to work with. All we need to do on this assignment, if you're here in your platform, I believe most of us are here in our platform already, we need to just come to our frame and say new stuff, and then we choose the frame. For now, we want you to design something for desktop, right? If you're going to be designing something for desktop, you click on desktop. It will give you like this tab. This is not a new file. I can do a new file. Back to files and then new. Just come to new design files, right? And on your new design files, you can start your stuff. Come with your frame and you start your desktop frame. Yeah, and then you just put, so we want you to design the landing page of any idea, any business here. If you don't have any business or any idea, you can choose MeQuest. We actually want to build a web-based application where we want all of us to have our classes right on the application, and a lot of things will happen. All your mentors, because we have different training. We have training on cloud engineering, networking, and different classes. So we want that application to be a place where everybody comes in, you see your mentor, you communicate with your mentor, and so many things will be happening. But what we want you to do, we would use the best and we'll implement it, and you can showcase to anybody that you were the one that actually designed our UI, right? UX, or we're going to put together. So we need the landing page, the about us, and the contact page. If you don't have any idea on what you want to design, but you can come up with something of it, and the deadline will be 18th of August. Most people submitted their assignments yesterday, 9th, and today. It would be nice if we can try to submit our assignment at least before the day for the next class, so that